There has been a lot of death in your family. His grandfather died, a couple of his uncles died, and now your brother has died. And people talk about the curse of the Bhuttos. I mean, was that something that was real for him and indeed for you?
No, there was never sense of a curse. My grandfather lived to a very long age. In fact,
Not
he
your
was.
grandfather. It was your father's grandfather.
Ah, yes. My great grandfather was poisoned to death by his opponents, and my father's two brothers died at a young age. But I always somehow felt that I would have my father forever. In fact, my father would often say that when this term of mine is over, the next term, I'll go back to Larkana, which is a family home. And he said that I'll retire there and all my children will be married and their children will be playing with me. And we'd say, no, Papa, no, Papa, we don't want to get married. But I mean, he really looked to a life of retirement. So it was, we knew the dangers were there and it could all end suddenly. But at the same time, there was the expectancy that life does go on.
I don't want to talk about the impact of his death on you, because obviously that's incalculable and still a very difficult thing to talk about. But as well as having to bear that, you were under house arrest and in prison yourself. I mean, how did you cope with that? Was it a difficult thing to cope with?
I coped in a very different way with my father's assassination than with my brother's. With my father's, all the time I felt I had to be very strong, and in fact, I did not give vent to my grief. I used to suppress it. Even if a tear used to come, I used to force it to go down. For 2 years or so, I don't think, I would control myself too much. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. Um, but I was a public figure and I had to put on a brave front. But you see, the day after they killed him, they came with his clothes and it was really terrible. And I think that was the one time when I felt as though my heart would really break open just to see the clothes and that he had been wearing at the time. But I knew I had to go on for his sake. He told me in our last meeting